just realized I was muted. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Bree. I work at Arch Solar in our marketing department. I'm so thrilled that we can be putting on this webinar series for everybody. There's been so many topics that we get questions about from all of our customers and lovely communities. And so these are just ways to connect and give an open space to ask questions that you have. So today we're going to hear from our energy consultant, Kyle Pocky. He works specifically with our residential homeowners and small commercial businesses on solar systems. And so he's going to tell us more about how solar works in winter. So, Kyle, I'm going to pass it to you. You can take it away.
Thanks, Bree, and thanks everybody for coming today. I'm excited to talk to you about some questions I get a lot when I'm out talking with folks at their homes or on the phone, discussing about if solar is worth it in Wisconsin and how to navigate that. So I'll get started with our slideshow and let me know if this comes through.
Looks good, Kyle.
Okay, great. So again, yeah, today is going to be about how solar works in Wisconsin and different ways we approach it and look at it. What we're going to cover today is going to be solar production, how much energy we kind of plan to get in a latitude and state like Wisconsin with our weather, how we project the impact of that weather and that snow, and how we make sure that our analysis and our proposals and designs are accurate. The maintenance and snow management for maximizing the production throughout the year, and then our service and maintenance team and how we can help you, again, just keep your solar running and keep everything smooth. So first topic is going to be obviously winter in Wisconsin and how the production is impacted. So there's a few factors that obviously play a role in how much energy we can capture, starting mostly with how the hours of sunlight. Obviously, around this time of year, we get about 9 hours of sunlight, where in summer, we're going to get 15 hours of sunlight. So we measure the energy in kilowatt hours, and obviously the more hours of that energy we can capture, the more energy we will have. So with being fewer sunlight hours, we're just going to see less energy. Another factor is if you have batteries, if you were going to switch to backup power, say in a grid outage, or if you run a runoff of batteries at night after charging it during the day, you're going to have more hours to cover at night. So when folks are looking at battery storage systems and things of that nature, whether it's how far can I go in an outage or how long can I run on at night, those are things to consider as far as you're going to have to go longer without the solar kicking back in and the sun going. But certainly when you're having conversations with either myself or other people on our team, those are things that we'll work through with you as far as how to mitigate your energy usage or at least manage it, and things to plan for and how to properly size a battery system. Another thing that impacts the production and kind of quality of the energy that we get is the angle of the sun in the sky. So exactly how far above the horizon it is when it hits us. As it gets in summer, as it's directly above us, it's going to be pretty much direct hit, and we're going to get just really great exposure, less impact from things like tree lines and other homes. In wintertime, now when it's lower, it's going to be lower in the sky, it's going to have more atmosphere to get through to us, and there's also going to be more trees and so forth in the way. And then the biggest kind of impact that everybody tends to talk about when I'm at their homes and talking about solar in winter is snow and the impact snow has on it. Snow will certainly diminish your energy production as it lays on the panels, and even when it's falling in the sky, when it's real cloudy and there's heavy snowfall, we see production dip from the panels quite a bit. But that's not to say that the energy can't get through the snow. Much in the same way that if you have a lawn and you would leave a piece of plywood out on the lawn over winter, and you come back in spring, that grass is going to be dead, whereas it can have a foot or 2 feet of snow on it, and you come back and it's still there. The energy will penetrate through. It's just obviously much, much less. With all that to say, it does still make sense in Wisconsin. Even on those cloudy and snowy days, solar will. I'll see you in the picture. Sorry, got a son home from school sick today, so he might pop in and say hello. So yeah, even when they're snow covered, you still will get that energy. It will be lower, but again, they are still going to be working. So even though you might not offset your entire day's worth of energy or be able to produce a ton, you're still going to be getting less from your utility and be able to run on that clean energy. Um, with the efficiencies of modern solar panels and microinverters as well, especially the developments over the past 10, 15 years or so, they help to mitigate those losses too by bringing as much energy that hits the solar cells as possible to your home. So even though we're still seeing that limited energy compared to summer, we're still maximizing on more of it. So it has made it more effective and much more, it has brought that return on investment a lot lower in our latitude. Um, one benefit of the snow and cold in winter is that electrical components work more efficiently when it's cold. Heat is often what's called the thief of energy and thief of efficiency, especially with electricity. That gets lost. That energy that could be going into your home is lost due to heat resistance. But when it's cooler out, things are more effective. Now, if we could keep it cold, but keep the sun higher in the sky and keep less snow, obviously that would be ideal, but this is the world we live in. So, um, all that is to say, it does impact it, and we calculate it. So that is our next kind of portion here is talking about how we accurately include the impact of whether it's snow, that lower sun in the sky, and less hours of sunlight into our design so that we're accurately representing how much solar can benefit you and what the impact might be on your home energy bill. So our modeling software uses 3D imagery and 3D modeling that we built. We include trees for shading. We include neighbors' houses if they're high enough to impact. And then it enters your exact latitude and longitude. So from there, it knows how many hours of sunlight you'll be getting every single minute of the year, as well as what your weather patterns are like. It goes off of local weather stations to kind of anticipate how many storms we get, how many days of sunlight and cloudiness we get. We also factor in to the software 8.6% loss in general on every single proposal we do. That's not all due to snow, that's just annually through the year. However, as you can see by this arrow down at the bottom, 3% of all energy that you could get throughout the year, we figure is gone just due to snow, whether that's snow events, snow sitting on the panels, what have you. So we try to be conservative with that approach, but also just try and get you an accurate representation of what your energy could be. One other part of solar panels with relating to snow, and obviously, if you have a more flat pitch roof, the snow will sit on there longer. But if you get any kind of pitch at all, what's going to happen is those panels will start to heat up, and that slick glass panel, the snow will shed off quicker than the rest of your roof. Now, if you have a non-roof mounted system, like a ground mounted system, we can angle the pitch to such a way that it is steeper and a little bit more southern direction to capture in the winter. They also make adjustable racks where you can make it a little bit steeper in the winter and more in summer. Obviously, not everybody has the room for that kind of setup, and it doesn't fit with everybody, but those can slough off a little bit easier than others. So um, with that being said, there are things that we can do to mitigate the snow. People always ask about brushing off the panels. That's another big question we have. Um, if you have rooftop mounted panels, do not brush the snow off. Certainly do not go up on your roof. It is dangerous and it will eventually slough off on its own. If you have ground mounted panels, it is a little bit easier to do if you want to trudge out there in the snow and give it a brush. One thing we always recommend though is don't use like a shop broom or anything like that. Use something soft, even if you could just put on the sleeve of your jacket and try and brush it off that way. What happens is small little rocks or other uh, miscellaneous fragments of materials can be caught up in that brush and they can scratch the surface of that panel. So even though they're very resilient to impact, that glass surface as it gets scratched can fragment the light as it comes in and ultimately can void warranty. So all that to say is you don't need to brush that off, but if you have access to it and can safely do it, doing a soft little brush off is okay. with the snow melting off a little bit quicker, a lot of folks also asked about avalanching and snow building up and coming off in this major stream, and sliding off either onto patios or walkways or gardens or so forth. It's not always an issue, but depending on where the panels are located and depending on the pitch of the roof and so forth, it could be an issue. There is something called snow guard that can go at the bottom of your roof line. It's often seen on metal roof systems. So if you're familiar with Quick Trip and you walk in and you see their metal roofs, there's a little bar at the bottom of it. That's meant to kind of stop that avalanche from falling. We can install that. And that's one way to mitigate that. So all things to, again, navigate. If you're talking with us, if you're talking with anybody else looking into solar, things that you can work towards and finalize those details for your home, but things that, again, we're familiar with and in ways that we can get around these things. Service and operation during winter months, we have a complete service team here at Arch. So if there is ever any issues, whether it be mechanical or snow loss or a damaged panel from fallen ice off of a tree limb, we have a team that is fully capable. We can do remote and so forth. But either way, that is to say that we can be your point of contact. You don't have to be out there doing it all on your own or figuring it out on your own. And for the most part, outside of, if anything, say, like that tree branch falling or some major, component malfunction, these systems are pretty much, you leave them. There should be no real maintenance to them. You don't have to go up and change the oil on them or set them to winter settings or things like that. You should hopefully just not ever think about it outside of seeing the benefits on your bill every month. If there are issues, you would obviously get your own updates. You have your own monitoring system or software as well. But that's to say, if all is well, you should just be able to leave it go. One aspect of maintenance and management that I kind of touched on earlier, that you do have some input on and can change, is battery storage systems. Most of them are going to have their own application that you can use on your phone or online, where you can change the settings to, say, if you want to keep it at 80% full and then run off of it at night, or if you just want to keep it fully filled up and reserved for backup, you can control those things. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to have a longer period at night to go without the solar production, so that however many kilowatt hours of storage are in that storage capacity and that energy system will not go as far as they would in summertime. So those are things that you'll want to consider adapting to. And obviously, again, everybody's energy habits are different and so forth. Sorry, just one break. Okay, I really need a break. Sorry about that. So again, if you were looking at energy storage, these are things we can talk you through, and we'll find out your energy habits. We can see how we can mitigate those things and help you best plan for it. Most battery setups also have weather monitoring, so they can tell if a major storm event is coming, and they can kind of intuitively charge themselves up. But again, something that's a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more involved in this process. So back to the service of our team. This is how Arch can help in wintertime and in mitigating these issues and helping get through it. So we have our own service and maintenance and operations team, all in-house, all located here in Wisconsin. So we don't outsource to any other electricians or anything else. You simply reach out to support@archsolar.com, or you can call any of our offices or even whichever energy consultant you would be dealing with, and we'll, first reach out to see what the problem is. We often get those updates the same time that you do. So if you get an email or an alert that's saying an inverter is going bad or production is dipped, we also get that as part of the contract as well. We will try to troubleshoot it virtually for you and see if there's something we can re-update or some sort of setting we can change and walk you through it. And then from there on, if we have to come out and do that service, we can do that as well. So again, we'll be on standby for one-on-one support, those troubleshootings. If there is an issue in the middle of a storm, and we'll see about getting out there as quickly as we can. And it can be a busy time of year for us, but that's another just service that we offer. Do we have any questions yet, Bree, or still?
I don't see any questions in the
Okay.
chat. If anyone has questions, please drop them.
Yeah.
Kyle, I have a quick question for the maintenance or service quality and management. So if my system was not installed by Arch, but I have something go wrong in the winter or something goes wrong, can Arch help or do I have to go to my person that installed it?
We can certainly help. At certain points, we may do what's something that's called like a monitoring contract or monitoring agreement. We may need that to be able to get access to the monitoring software that your system has. But there are quite a few installers who don't have the capacity to do their own maintenance and service, and others who have moved out of state or gone to a different route that so we are happy to help when it's time if it was installed by somebody else or if it's an older setup. It doesn't matter. We've seen every kind of system and we've seen every kind of installation, and we'd be happy to help again with the free troubleshooting, the diagnosing, and even if it's just simple questions, we're happy to. We always love talking about the stuff. We kind of nerd out about it, so we're happy to talk through those things, talk through questions, and then if things are needed from there, we can send you to our service team or figure out exactly what's needed. So thanks, great question on it.
Yeah, and then one more, I have a list, sorry, that some people had submitted before. A question about bifacial solar panels. Can you speak to how that might look for a residential system?
Yes, so bifacial has less of an impact on roof-mounted systems, but for ground-mounted systems where they're just standing alone and there's no roof face directly behind it, um, that can really be a benefit in the wintertime. So with bifacial panels, they're not just getting the energy from where the sun is hitting the panels, they put cells in the back face of that. So if there's snow on the ground behind it, all that energy that's bouncing back off of that snow is going to get reflected right to it. That's going to be another way to maximize it. So with those ground mounted systems in particular, especially ones where you can angle it a little bit more to get more of a steeper pitch towards the sun, those bifacial panels are another way to really maximize and capitalize and get as much energy as possible in those lower months. So great question.
Great. And then we do have some questions pouring in now. Um, Someone's wondering, what about when you have very large amounts of snow? So ones that stay on for maybe a week or so, a bigger storm. It sounds like this particular person has it on their garage roof, so I know we don't recommend going up there. Anything they can do?
Um, it's tough. It depends again, it depends on where your roof is. If you're comfortable and have a method to get up and try and shush it off from a ladder, um, you can do that. But again, just follow those rules as far as make sure it's not a big shop broom that might have some metal fairings or some rocks or something else in there. And then make sure you're safe, obviously. If it's a big snow and going out on a ladder is again, probably dangerous. You may want to leave that alone. Outside of that, just know that for if it's a heavy, large snowfall that's there for a week or something like that, your energy production will be lower. And that's again part of living in Wisconsin. Luckily, this year it seems to be not so much of an issue so far. We haven't had the major snowfalls, and when we have, they've melted within the next week or so. But that again, as we see there's a foot of snow in New Orleans right now. Weather patterns are changing, and we can get those big snowfalls at any moment. So, unfortunately, again, it is part of the nature of being in Wisconsin is that there will be January and in February and even chunks of December and March. There will be periods where we don't get the energy that we would if we were say in Arizona. But again, that's not to say that we won't get some of that energy. So, great question, and apologize for the non-answer answer, but that's
Kyle,
just part of it.
someone in the chat actually is to what you're saying, suggest they're saying that they use a squeegee attached to an extendable painter's pole. So don't go up on the roof, can use the small ladder. It sounds like that's different, probably based on everyone's circumstances, like you're saying. But yeah, I think we really push safety first. And like Kyle said, it sounds like we plan that we live in a spot where there might be at least a snowfall that would affect your production. So I think
Right,
overall you
yeah.
should see a good return.
with 3%, of your annual energy lost due to snow, that's going to be about 11 days or so that we plan of just no production from snow. So not everybody does, not every company factors that in, but the good companies do, and that's just again another way that we can try to, and you will see when we give you a proposal that the production totals in December and January and February are so much lower due to the shading and the fewer hours and so forth. So again, all that's to say that, yeah, a trick like that with a squeegee, a soft squeegee like that, where you can get it on a pole, extendable pole might work. Not every roof is going to be reachable like that, but some lower, garages, or if you've got, say, a house built into a hill or something like that, it might be easier to get that back roof. But um, each situation is different. But again, default to safety and know that you will get production eventually, whether that's in a week or so, it will come back.
Great. And then I have one follow-up, and then I don't know if you have more slides to cover, Kyle. Can you remind me?
I do just have a couple. We
Okay.
can breeze through it if you want, and then just settle on questions. That'll work.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds great. Why don't you do
Yep.
that?
Okay, so we talked about it a little bit, and I'm sure most of you, if you're here, know a little bit about us already, but reasons to trust us to help you with navigating this, all these questions and these variables in this kind of newer industry is mainly as such. So our mission, and we take this very seriously, it's something that's taught to us from the beginning, and I think we all believe in it very well. It's not just fodder. So our mission is to educate, inspire, and empower current and future generations to choose a clean, sustainable form of energy. So the biggest part of that is to educate. And that's why we were having webinars like today, and that's why we do free consultations, and we come out to your house and we talk through all these things. And if your home is not a good fit for solar, we tell you the why, or what you might need to get to become a good fit for solar. So we really strive on educating and not selling. And because there's so much to learn about, and there's so many different ways to go about it, and there's so many people interested, that we take our responsibility very seriously in that matter. We've installed on over 2,000 homes in Wisconsin since we started 21 years ago, in 2003. And then we're a vertically integrated installer. So everybody you talk with the whole time, whether that's, our facilitators who might be your first point of contact at the beginning, us, the energy consultants, the installers, those are all Arch employees. They all are Wisconsin based. We don't outsource anything. We have engineers on staff that do with all the designs and handle our operations and submitting of the permitting and interconnection applications. And then we also have electricians overseeing all of our projects as well. So again, every single point along the way, we try and make it as turnkey for you as possible. We let you know what documents to sign and what to expect with that, what the timelines are, and then all our installers and everybody else along the way will be an Arch employee who has all these same values, and we all are working together as a team. So yeah, many more reasons, and I think Bree just shared a link to about us, but yeah, now that wraps it up. There's my mug without the hat and my contact info if you have any more questions, and send me an email or call, and I'm happy to chat at any time, even after this. Yeah. So yeah, with that, I guess I'll open the floor to more questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you so much. I know this is definitely helpful. So something that I saw as a follow-up question to bifacial panels, someone was curious, do the bifacial panels also shed snow more through self-heating from the generation on the underside?
Yes, that will certainly help out, as again, like I mentioned at the beginning, as these, and I didn't explain it as in depth, I guess, but as these panels are pulling that energy in, that black surface is designed to pull electricity in, and it will naturally heat up They are efficient and they try not to lose that heat, but just like anything else, as that energy flows through there and as that sunlight hits those black panels, once you get a nice little start, usually that bottom layer will kind of turn to liquid first and then the rest of it will slush off. With those bifacial panels, again, just more energy being pulled in, a little bit more heat added, and then, yeah, just keeping that a little bit more insulated for that snow to slough off the top. So great point on that.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah.
Someone else is wondering, how often should the panels be washed? Just general
Oh,
panel maintenance question.
yeah. So it's going to depend on where you live. Um, some folks who are out in, newer developments or, sprawling kind of suburban areas that have fewer trees and less, farm fields and so forth with, pollens and leaves and things to worry about. Not as often. And the panels will clean themselves if they're at a spot that you can't quite get to. A good snowfall will clean off a lot of that debris that's built up over fall. And then as spring comes, things will get built up on it. We get some nice rainfalls. That'll do a good job washing it. So a lot of panels are never touched. Though that isn't to say that if you can reach it with the hose and you've got some leaf built up or some just grime from the summer or even just left over from spring and winter, you can reach it with the hose and spray those things off. So again, not necessarily needed, but possible. Sorry, just 1 second.
Kyle's
Okay,
got our youngest solar
sorry,
advocate.
sorry
No,
about
it's
that.
okay. He's learning about solar in winter too, so he's ready
Yeah,
to help.
he's a great helper. If you come to any of Mallard's games out here, you'll probably see him there with me.
Absolutely. I love it. Kyle, I think those are all of the winter related questions. It looks like some folks have some questions about possible changes in structure on energy reimbursement in specific territories. So I might have you, if anyone who has those sort of questions wants to just email Kyle directly, or he can try to follow up with you after this. Usually those are a little bit more case specific, and I think I don't want to speak for you, Kyle, but I think he'd be happy to maybe walk through some of those questions with someone personally if they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, email's a great way to do that. And just, yeah, there's a lot of variables in those discussions and always they tend to be ever changing as well. So those are things that may be better suited for side conversations, but I'm happy to do it and I'd love to do it. So, sure, send me whatever you got and we can do it.
Awesome. Well, I think that concludes our solar and winter webinar for today. For all those that joined and everyone who registered, this will be distributed to you as soon as the recording finishes up. Thank you so much. Kyle's information is there. Also, I dropped some links in the chat. If you have any questions about just service and maintenance in general, we are always here and happy to help. So thank you all for joining us. I hope everyone stays warm. This is a very pertinent week to be learning. So,
Thanks, Bree, and thank you again, everyone. Appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you.
all right. Bye bye.